Hello and welcome to the Link to the Past Randomizer weekly race. My name is Moonswing. I'm going to be out here with you guys doing some commentary with my buddy Jetters here. Jetters, what's going on? How you doing?
Not much. Excited to see this weekly open, see what it looks like to put all these racers together. So, what are you looking forward to in the seed?
I just want to see some sort of like fastness. I'm into seeing some fast stuff tonight. Something like, like give us a ton of stuff and then maybe like leave out Bo or something for a while.
So we're talking, Hammer, Gloves, and Moon Pearl and Kakariko, so we can get the ball rolling early.
Yeah, just make it super open. Like, just open up the whole world and then let everyone kind of go off in different directions, see what everyone does. What about you?
Yeah, I love seeds that have like curveballs, not mean curveballs, but just like stuff that really makes you think like, okay, what do I got to do here? Like the logic is pointing me in a direction, and so you just got like those moments where you can like pause and think about, what's your next step.
I hear that. Well, we got an awesome lineup. We got Mr. Scruff, Ninja Tuna, Dr. Bobtastic, Dark Shadows, and Gweg. So this should be a pretty good race.
Yeah, I'm familiar with three of these runners. Gweg, I am not familiar with, but looking forward to seeing what Gweg brings to the table here.
Absolutely. So we should be getting started here pretty soon. And we're going to be playing catch up, and of course chat will help us if we get behind. But here we go. 2 and 2.
Well, there's the hammer, so we're off to an early start already.
And we got ourselves a book too in Sanctuary. And we've got a quick map check. I barely saw it. I think Green Pendant was on Hera, Red Crystal on Eastern, and regular Crystal on Desert, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's what I saw. So it looks like Gweg and Scruff are going to check what Uncle's got. Meanwhile, Dark Shadows and Dr. Bob are going to go straight through Lost Woods to Kakariko. And our tree pull is... a level 1 tree pull is 80 rupees, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's going to be a really nice start both ways for both parties here, both kind of strats here. We are going to get Aghanim Cave. Looks like it's just a piece of heart. So not necessarily, we don't know yet if it's not required, but we know that we won't need Aghanim for that piece of heart, so.
Yeah, Gweg and Scruff picking up the blue boomerang at Uncle. Nice little tool to have early on when you just want to get things out of your way.
And this is really exciting, actually. Both Scruff and Gweg are going right into the first half of Escape with that hammer. I think this is really exciting. Anytime you go into this early, I think it's kind of an aggressive play, but they have it, so they're going to go do it. They're going to see what's what, and we'll find out.
Yeah, when you have a weapon, especially something that can kill things fast like the hammer, Hyrule Castle, the front of Hyrule Castle, not a bad play when you're checking Uncle already, because it's just you're already over in that direction, so you might as well keep going.
Yeah, save and quit and get it over with now. We do find 50 rupees in the bottom of the Thug's hideout here. So money is not really too much of an issue right now. And Dark Shadows actually did a couple tree pulls as well, so they're already up to 200. And we're getting an early ped check.
Ooh, another sword on Ped. So Ped's not required, but we're going to be probably having 2 to 3 swords for this seed then.
Yeah, it's not required. Ooh. Just as I'm about to speak, we find boots in the front of Escape. So what an early... This is a great play, really working out to do right away. Going to get some extra speed here.
Yeah, that's definitely a great find early. You always want to find those boots early because it just cuts down so much time throughout the entire seed.
And yeah, unless the seed's really trolly and has 2 swords in Ganon's tower, then then we will not necessarily need that pedestal.
So Scruff taking a death warp here. Gweg took the save and quit, so Scruff's going to go check out Dark Cross here. Meanwhile, Gweg's going to get moving on Kakariko. Speaking of Kakariko, we've got Dark Shadows in the well, finding 50 in the back.
Ooh, okay. That bottle is going to be very nice now. It's always great to get a bottle in Kakariko in early game so you can just get the kid right out of the way.
And Gweg finding the Moon Pearl in Bonk Rocks. That's a big find right there.
Wow. Okay, well, we're getting our wish. We're getting a lot of things early. Let's see if it keeps going.
So those boots paying off big time, that early Hyrule Castle play.
And I missed, ooh, blue mail, that's nice. I missed, is Scruff, this is the Dark Cross here?
Yes.
Okay.
Looks like he got the key, so he's going to continue on through. Using that boomerang as basically kind of like echolocation.
Yeah, this is a tough dark room. At least it is for me. I'm obviously not as good as these guys are, but Dark Cross could be tough without that fire rod or without the lamp, obviously. But using the boomerang here to Scruff's advantage, he's able to kind of check, where he's at each time, and he's going to be able to get to the back here.
So let's see what's back here. This could be some big ticket items, or it could be just nothing. Half Magic's pretty nice, but nothing really required.
And meanwhile, it's always fun when Sick Kid gives you a bottle. So you have to get a bottle to get another bottle.
Hey, it's double the value.
That's true. So yeah, that half magic is obviously not necessary, but it's certainly a nice find early on. It's nice to find it anytime, but this early on, if we do find something like Fire Rod or even Ice Rod for that matter, like it's gonna give you another projectile weapon to be able to use to get through things easier.
Alright, so meanwhile our runners are cleaning up the Kakariko area. Dr. Bob's just gonna go straight through and check what's on the race game without even going down to the bottom. So he's got full faith in what's on this race game item.
And it's just a piece of heart today, so we're going to be seeing, this is where we're going to really see where, if there is any divergence, where it's going to happen. Obviously there's going to be South Shore plays, but we don't really know where we're going to go. So let's see who maybe a gamble here and maybe doesn't go South Shore.
So the interesting thing is we do have access to Magic Bat. The two runners that went straight to Kakariko didn't get the hammer, so was not able to check Magic Bat, but Scruff and Gweg will be able to.
It's very true. We're going to get a look at Mini Moldorn Cave here. Bobtastic's not doing the dam just yet, going straight to Mini Moldorn. So we'll see where they end up going after this. And it looks like Dark Shadows might be making their way to both Uncle, and we'll see if they continue on to Front of Escape.
Yeah, this play from Dr. Bob here might be checking Mini Moldorm going to the dam and then going all the way to desert with that book there.
Right. Yeah, it looks like they're going to backtrack, so I imagine they will make their way to the desert. We'll get an Agena Cave as well while we're there. It's kind of like a half gamble, right? I mean, they have the book, so obviously it's good to go enter Desert Palace. But it is a lesser number of items.
Yeah. Yeah, when you get that book, it's always a big question of what you need it for, if you even need it. You know, is the game just giving it to you early, or do you need something in desert or on a tablet, you know?
So I guess right now, in comparison to our 4 runners, it's kind of like, when is Bob going to go up to that, to the front half of Escape? Because obviously Dark Shadows is going to grab their boots here. So we'll see I think it's going to depend on what's going on in Desert over here, and kind of if that's going to lead them anywhere else, or see where it goes.
And Gwig giving us our Magic Bat check. Let's see what Magic Bat is holding for us today. Just a piece of heart.
And just a big 20 on the Desert Ledge. And we are going to get that desert check. No Agena Cave just yet. I imagine Bob's going to do that after this. It's kind of a common play. You typically want to save and quit out of Agena's Cave because it's kind of a long walk all the way back around.
Yeah.
And what's interesting about this is that Bob doesn't have the boots. So we're going to find out if this is boots locked right now.
And what is this? Okay, so we got the small key. So we have a good chance of getting an item here. And possibly the big key.
Okay, just a map. And I imagine this will be... Well, we will see. Oh!
And there's a glove. Very nice find there.
That's an interesting find, because that's going to lead Bob probably to the back of Escape, maybe? I guess we're going to find out, but they're going to go check out Agena's Cave, but for everyone else that's coming here with the boots, obviously it is boots locked. We still don't have a fire source, so we can't beat it just yet, so it may or may not be too much, you know, of a distraction for Bob, so we'll find out.
Well, given that we didn't get the big key, we know it is boots locked. So, Gweg is going to go South Shore, and this will be... I imagine he will probably go to Ice Rod Cave here. Meanwhile, Dr. Bob picking up Quake in Agena's Cave.
So yeah, this does look like a back of Escape play from Dr. Bob-tastic here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe we're going to get a... Oh, they're going to go do Magic Bat. Okay.
Yeah, so Gweg is actually turning around and going to Desert. That's going to be good for him because Gweg will have actually Dark World access after this, because get that glove. Won't be able to finish Desert unless there's a fire source in the big chest.
Right.
But at least we'll get going on that early Dark World access, just like you requested.
So yeah, a little bit of the... Let's see where Bob... I think Bob... This might be the... Yeah, okay. So Bob's going to get their boots. So we're all going to be kind of caught up here, but just turns out, you know, the order of things kind of didn't work out for some in the, you know, in that favor. So we'll see what what we end up finding in the either the big chest or the torch here. And if it's a fire source, they're going to be able to complete it right away.
So Dark Shadows finally got to the back of Escape and is probably going to check Bonk Rocks. So he'll get his Moon Pearl. And then we'll see what he does from there. Because we still have the eastern area unchecked. Gweg will be the first to get to the Dark World.
And I'm trying to think money-wise. None of our players have really enough money to go do Zora. Dark Shadows is the closest. But with that Moon Pearl, they will be able to loop in the Waterfall Cave. So I wonder who's going to maybe go for that versus who's going to go for Eastern. And obviously, depending on what we find right now in Desert.
All right, Dark Shadow's going to check Magic Bat. Scruff going all the way to Ice Rod Cave. This is our first look at Ice Rod Cave. Everybody else has said no thanks. And it's just a piece of heart.
Yeah. And we did find out that the second item is going to be on Lanmolas. So Gweg's going to go get the Sagina Cave check. And it looks like Scruff is going to be making their way. Imagine this is a water walk. Yeah, okay. So they're going to make their way up to Waterfall Cave. And we'll see if there's some money in there for them to continue to go do Zora.
Ooh. You hate it when that happens. But he's got Moon Pearls, so he'll be able to get another Water Walk. I don't know if he was planning on storing a Water Walk, but that option is out now.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, basically what happened there is if you do have the Water Walk, sometimes they can get unregistered there when opening that chest, which is why Scruff ended up into the swimming animation again. But because they have the Moon Pearl, it's this unique trait where you can actually just swim out and swim back in. Without the Moon Pearl, that would not work. But
So Gweg is dipping into the Dark World. We're going to start here at Hype Cave and see what we got going on. Ooh, Titan's Mitts.
Okay. And the Red Meringue. Titan's Mitts immediately into Dark World. And I missed what was on the hobo, but we got a hobo check from Scruff. We also found out that the cape was on the Zora ledge.
Yeah, we won't know if that's actually required until we get to the bumper ledge. But Dr. Bob picking up his Moon Pearl, so he has Dark World access as well.
And we did get a map check, and I caught the pearl on Palace of Darkness.
And Gweg picking up our first sword from Stumpy.
And meanwhile, Scruff's going to give us our Sahasrara check here. And looks like they may be continuing on to Eastern Palace, so this will be exciting.
Yeah, Dr. Bob did not have magic for Magic Bat, so he's gonna double back and check and see if that's anything important. I imagine he'll go into Village of Outcasts from here, though. And because Gwig got those Titan's mitts, he is conveniently allowed to go straight up to the Village of Outcasts, having the extra lift he needed. Alright, so we got Dark Shadows doing some water checks, probably going to go to the waterfall at this point. Scruff and Eastern. Finding a mirror, that's a big one.
That is a big one.
And we got Gweg, who's going to do hammer pegs, it looks like.
Okay, here's the other map. So Misery Mire was the other pearl.
Yep,
Or
and
pendant, I mean.
Ice Palace being that other red crystal. Gweg being rewarded with 300 rupees, so that's a nice chunk of change there.
Yeah, that will allow them to... Oh no, we already saw that. But yeah, this mirror in Eastern is interesting, because a lot of people obviously like to do the pod mirror into Eastern. They're obviously not going to be able to do that because of this, so...
So Dark Shadows has enough for Zora, so he'll be able to find out what Zora's holding out on us.
If this is something like a fire source of some kind, this would be very good for Dark Shadows.
That's very good.
Hookshot is also very, very good. Wow. That's game-changing.
That's a rare sight to see with Zora having value. Usually Zora's got nothing and just rips you off every time, but not today.
So who checked... I'm trying to remember who checked Zora already. Did Gweg go check Zora, or no? I can't remember. I don't think so.
I think it was Scruff.
Okay. So that's going to work out for Gweg, because I imagine that they will, with that mirror, do some sort of a catfish Zora play later on.
Alright, so we got both Dr. Bob and Gweg going through Thieves Town. So far, nothing much there. Dark Shadows is making his way to Desert. So he'll be able to get his gloves, and it looks like Scruff is headed to Desert as well after clearing out Eastern. Not much left else for him to check.
I think Gweg got another sword. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, it looks like Gweg got the Master Sword, yeah. So we've already, off the bat, 2 quick swords in Dark World. First sword for Bob, but second for Gweg. And with that hammer, they're going to be able to full clear this, which is always nice to not have to try and come back if you need to.
Alright, so we'll keep our eyes peeled as to what else here is in Thieves Town, because right now, that's about all we got going on is these 2 runners just racing through Thieves Town.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see where this fire source is going to come from, because that's kind of... There's obviously other things that are in play, but without that flute, you know, when is Death Mountain going to come into play in Logic? Um, you know, is the lantern going to serve both as the fire source and the logic for Death Mountain, or are we just going to find a flute somewhere? I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, with the game as wide open as this, with Titan's mitts, you know, and you know, hammer and glove, and like you could, there's so many options, you know, and the hook shot. I mean, really, all we are is flippers away from Swamp Palace access.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. But yeah, I mean, other than that, I mean, I'm trying to think with that. You know, obviously we can get to Death Mountain out of logic, and then therefore with the mirror can take care of Tower of Hera, but there's not too many dungeons we can really like fully complete, at least in the logic. So I imagine there's probably going to be leaning them a little bit more towards overworld checks, but we'll see if anyone takes any interesting tips.
I would not be surprised to see something in Pendant Pod.
Yeah, Pod always has something, doesn't it?
Especially Pendant Pod.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Or it's just right here on blind.
So that opens things up super wide now. We have full dark Death Mountain access, light Death Mountain access. Man. I mean, Gweg doesn't know about the hook shot yet, but you know, here comes Dr. Bob with the flute.
And we are going to get this bumper ledge check from Gweg. So let's see what's going on up here, because we know where the cape is. It's just 10 arrows, so cape will not be required. Unless there's always that chance of Spike Cave, but I think with 2 bottles, I'm not sure. I don't think that technically means it's. I think 2 bottles is the minimum, right, to keep it in logic without the cape or the cane.
You know, I'm not 100% sure on the bottle count, if that counts. But I do know that usually, I know that like blue cane, and you know, will qualify cape and a bottle. Well, cape and a bottle, but you know, even so, with cape in 1 bottle, we know where those 2 things are. It's still, you know, our runners can do it without the cape itself.
So Scruff's going to get their first sword from Stumpy here.
Ooh, Gweg trying to get that middle chest and gets tagged by the spike, but has a fairy in a bottle, so won't be going anywhere.
Happily takes the the hand here to go back to the beginning of it. Yes, Gibdos are horrible.
Alright, so it looks like Dr. Bob is going to get his Titan mitts. Dark Shadows also started at Hype Cave, got his Titan's mitts.
So yeah, Scruff with that mirror kind of has a little bit of an interesting edge. I don't know if it's necessarily helping necessarily. I just think it's more of that there's not really anything leading people to Eastern. So I'm just interested when our other runners that play to Eastern and what's gonna, you know, with the flute now and with the hook shot and logic, which of course only Dark Shadows has. There's so many other checks that they're gonna go to first. But when Scruff does those checks with having that mirror, they're gonna be able to consolidate a lot of those trips.
Yeah, and Scruff can do the blacksmiths here, so that's really nice to get it out of the way, and having that mirror early does give that sort of advantage. But really, at this point, it's really going to be tough to say when the rest of our 3 runners will go to Zora, especially after, one of them having passed up Zora because they didn't have enough money.
That's true, and that was Scruff. So while Scruff does have the mirror, when are they going to make that play? They're probably going to last location then.
Well, I would say if you have the mirror, you'd want to do it with Zora with Catfish.
That's true.
But without the mirror, I don't know when you go to Zora, as the game increasingly gets more and more open.
Speaking of Catfish, we're getting our check here from Bob. And just a little bit of swag. And everybody please rise. Lower your hats for the Silent Swag Duck theme from Gweg.
So Scruff is going to do the full blacksmith chain here. He's going to run all the way down, drop off purple chest, and this is a bit of a gamble here, I think, because it takes you out of your route. Instead of going and doing like Thieves Town or something, this is just a long trip for 1 check. But he could also check Bombo's tablet while he's down here. Won't be able to pick it up since he doesn't have that second sword yet, but at least we'll know what's on it.
Yeah, I do agree. It is a bit of a gamble. Ooh, okay. Doesn't really help too much. That's the Cane of Burner. We did get the mushroom as well from both Gweg and Bobtastic.
So what Scruff did there, because I see some people in chat that are a little bit confused. So there's a little bit of a glitch in the game where if you pick up a follower and then you drop it, like the purple chest, for instance, and so what you do with the purple chest is you run all the way to where the guy you turn it into is, and you mirror directly next to him, so that for that time, the game still registers you as having that follower, even though you dropped it off way back there, and then it allows you to turn it in without actually having the purple chest with you.
And while you were explaining that, were you just holding your breath waiting to finish because you realized that Cane of Samaria was on Bombos? Or no?
Honestly?
Oh, I was. Yeah, so Cane of Samaria is on Bombos. And obviously that's pretty big. That the main difference now, what's so interesting about the gamble you were just talking about is that Scruff didn't go into Thieves Town, so did not have that second sword to be able to get it. So obviously they're going to get it eventually. They'll get it probably when they're going to Swamp Palace, unless they need it earlier. But yeah, that's pretty. That gamble for knowledge, if nothing else, definitely paid off.
Yeah, that definitely is good knowledge to have. And I agree that you probably wouldn't rush to go pick it up because Cane of Samaria isn't all that useful until you need to clear Mire and Turtle Rock.
So Gweg we finally, from both Bob and Gweg, we finally are going to get to see some Death Mountain information here. Both electing to grab the old man in the dark. Pretty standard dark room to do, especially with the sword.
Yeah. The interesting thing is they don't have the mirror nor the hook shot, so they really can't check much up here.
Yeah, it's just again that that Eastern play and that having the money for Zora. It's really coming in big here. So I imagine the Eastern play is a little bit more realistic for those, but going to do that Zora check without that mirror, to tie it in with Catfish, we're just going to really see what goes on here. We are still looking for that fire source, though. Yeah, chat, we were talking about that earlier. It's definitely doable with the potions, with the bottles. I thought I was under the impression it was 2 bottles to be in logic, but it might be 3. But either way, we're going to get to see it now from Gweg.
Yeah, that's a good heads up by Gweg. This is probably the best time to check it, because for their purposes, because they already came up here, so and there's not much else to do up here, so you might as well make the most of it.
Unfortunately, just a big 20. But it is a good check, and it's kind of one of those things where just the nature of what their inventory is kind of led them in that direction. So for Dark Shadows and Scruff, when they're up there, they're probably not going to do that right away, because Scruff's can most likely go to Tower of Hera, and Dark Shadows is probably just going to go straight to Dark Death Mountain. So
yeah, Dark Shadows just cleaning up Skull Woods here, but I imagine that at this point, Dark Death Mountain is, the entirety of Death Mountain is on the short list of things to do after he's done here. I'd say maybe he'll check Bumper Ledge, and that's about it.
Meanwhile, we're going to get some, I'm wondering, is Greg, looks like, no, Gweg's going up. They're going to check Pyramid Ledge and probably Catfish, I imagine. Yeah, right now it's Dark Death Mountain or Pod. I think that's kind of the two options here, and then obviously Eastern. But as far as where these items are kind of leading you, those are two, I think, top 2 places that most people will go to.
Yeah, there are people that do like to avoid going up to the mountain until they feel like they have to, because it is quite a long way to walk around on that mountain. Oh, and Scruff getting the nice little glitch there, hitting the menu just as Blind's text box pops up, and you'll get these funky colors like that.
All right, Disco Blind. Everyone get your disco balls in chat if you have them, question mark. There we go.
All right, so Dark Shadows is continuing on. My guess is grabbing the blacksmith, since he's already passed through this area.
Yeah, looks like it.
So it looks like he's just going to grab the blacksmith and then check Bumper Ledge and probably save and quit. And then drop off blacksmith friend.
And we're gonna get some some Meyer checks here from Gweg. See what that means. It's a pendant, but let's see what that medallion is for it.
Dark Shadows doing the Kern jump here. So this is a little bomb jump that you can use a bomb to blow yourself into the transition just as you land in the water to get a fake flipper.
It's such a beautiful trick. And we see that Ether is the required medallion for Gweg. For Meyer, I mean. Yeah, this trick that Shadows is trying is incredibly precise. But man, is it beautiful when it's pulled off.
And Scruff checking Graveyard Ledge, and King's Tomb here. Graveyard Ledge having a shield, and oh yeah, King's Tomb was where we had our mushroom. That's right.
And very clutch moment for Dark Shadows with their very last bomb pulling off that current jump to get over here. That's always a little nail biting.
And immediately gonna restock on bombs.
Yeah, I mean, nice use of in-game knowledge there. I rarely see anyone go in there to buy bombs, so.
But meanwhile, we have Gweg and Dr. Bob in Eastern, which are both gonna get their mirror. So this is gonna get a little bit interesting now.
Yeah, that's gonna be this is very big for them.
So I wonder after they're done with Eastern if they're gonna go back up the mountain to check out Hera and the other side of Death Mountain. So Dark Shadow's gonna go turn in the blacksmith, or not. Gonna check King's Tomb first. He's taking this blacksmith on a world tour.
Yeah, it's a shame, Dark. I mean, the reason. Okay.
There's our fire source.
And talk about a location for it. I mean, you can't really. I imagine they're going to go right into Desert Palace and just finish that up. There's a second item on Lanmolas. Let's just see what it is.
Yeah, Scruff's gonna go straight there and finish out Desert. At least get a crystal out of it.
But yeah, that hook shot on Zora is just, and obviously for us watching, it's just kind of really man, it's really weighing on me in the back of my head just for the sake of these runners when they're going to make that play. I guess for Bob and Gweg, having mirror is going to be big because it's going to push them. Well, they already did catfish though. That's the thing. So
yeah,
we'll see.
Yeah, Zora's kind of a mean check. It can very easily get isolated, and you know, because a lot of times, sometimes you'll go up there and just check waterfall and the ledge when you don't have the money, and you know, especially when the seed is low on funds early on. Like the later the seed goes, the less likely you are to check Zora.
So we did just get a pretty nice raid, so welcome to all those that are here. Long story short, we had a lot of stuff in the beginning except for a fire source, which Scruff just picked up in Checkerboard Cave. And probably the trolliest thing so far is that Zora has hookshot, and only one person, Dark Shadows, is the only one that had money to go get it. Mirror was also in the Eastern Palace, which is was kind of an early play for Scruff. And but Bobtastic and Gweg just picked it up.
So nothing of note on Landmo for the item, just a big 20. But Scruff walking away with our second crystal.
And Bob's going to give us some ether checks, some Hera checks.
Yeah, this is all new information for us. Looks like Gweg is going to do the same.
And you're right. I mean, Shadow is definitely holding off the mountain, and that's probably because they don't have the mirror. So they're really looking for it, and they're going to obviously get their purple chest here. But we'll be seeing when they're going to be heading into Eastern, or if they're just going to make that dive up to Dark Death Mountain right away. Or to just Death Mountain, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Spiral Cave holds for us. a heart container. So getting some health off of Ether and Spiral Cave. And now Dr. Bob is going to go to the cave that always has the goods.
Yeah, this is what some consider to be the true hype cave. Let's see, though.
It's very rare that Paradox is completely empty. Even if you get something that's of mild note, you usually get something here. But Gweg is in Hera here.
And yeah, I guess Bob just took a quick dip in and came out.
No, he's skipped right past it. He's obviously going to save Hera for after this. And there's flippers.
There, ooh, and red mail, which is nice to have. But there are those flippers. That's definitely it's gonna help out at least a little bit.
So Dark Shadows finally making his way up the mountain. He'll be able to check more than anybody else currently on the mountain because he's got that hook shot.
And there is our fire rod in Tower of Hera. And this is the green pendant. So yeah, most people are going to check it, but I don't know. It may be delayed for a while, so we'll see. It's not required necessarily. I mean, Tower of Hera is, but the green pendant isn't, so not yet at least.
Well, interesting thing to note, we have access to Turtle Rock with our knowledge combined, because we know where the Cane of Samaria is, and now we know where the Fire Rod is, so, you know, we can get all the way to Laser Bridge.
Provided that it's Quake, of course. To get in. Oh, it is Quake. We already know.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mistake.
Looks like Dark Shadows is gonna go for Spike Cave here. Dr. Bob gonna check the at least the bonkable chest here. Not sure if he's going to attempt a hover for the rest, but we shall see.
Oh, baby. Here we go.
And that's a one and done for Dr. Bob. All right, so Gweg just gonna go open Turtle Rock, and then move on since he does not have the Cane of Samaria. Dark Shadows playing with the Dead Rocks, everybody's favorite monster from this game.
Gweg making their way to Hookshot Cave. Oh, accidentally picks up the skull there. We'll have to come back in to be able to bonk off of it. Feels bad, man.
Scruff picking up that fire rod. So yeah, we have Master Sword. It's entirely possible that's all we get from this seed, given that we already got one on the pedestal, which I don't think anybody is going to pick that one up.
Yeah, and I feel like GT usually has one on the way. I mean, obviously there's no way to guarantee that, but we'll see how comfortable our runners are going into with just Master Sword. I imagine most of these runners are. It's always nice to find that tempered, though, if it comes across the way.
And Dr. Bob is going to find the lamp. The first fire sword he'll have access to.
So what do we do now, right? I mean, with our collected knowledge,
Well,
we know that Shadows will not be able to go into Swamp Palace until they get that mirror. But with Gweg about to pick that up, do you do Swamp? Do you do Pod? Do we go into Ice Palace? I mean, what do we do?
yeah, that's a very good question. Gweg doesn't have hookshot, so realistically, with the flippers, you never really want to go into Swamp Palace without the hookshot, but sometimes it's there. You know, you can make that gamble. Ice Palace wouldn't be a bad option. You know, but that not having that hookshot is really going to trip up a lot of these runners. However, Dark Shadows has got to find that mirror, so you know, he's lacking one of the key pieces to this puzzle as well.
Yeah.
Can't get into Swamp at all, even though he's got the hookshot.
Yeah, this is actually going to be really interesting because we're going to see a pot clip here.
Dark Shadows doing Harapot.
Very, very, very cool trick. Semi-recently found. What was it, like 6 months ago or something? Maybe a little earlier.
Something like that.
It's a cool trick, though. It's a pixel-perfect trick that basically allows you to clip into the pot. And you jump all the way to the top of Hera. But yeah, I think it's going to just be so interesting to watch because all 4 of our runners are kind of independently have different little gambles that they can make. So while Gweg doesn't have hookshot, he can potentially, you know, dip into Swamp Palace. We know it's not in there. But Shadows without that mirror could make an early dive into Ice Palace with the flippers being able to. So yeah, it's just going to be really interesting to kind of see where these runners go.
So the interesting thing is, Dr. Bob did not go back into Hera and get the fire rod while he was up on the mountain. So that's also going to be weighing on his mind, you know, where that fire rod is. I think Dr. Bob, without that fire rod, though, has very limited options as to what he can do.
Skullwoods has been checked, but not full because no runner has been there with the fire rod yet. But the front part of Skullwoods has been checked. Chat's been asking.
So Dark Shadows is going to have to route the mountain a bit differently than the rest of our runners because he does not have the mirror, so he has to be very particular and make sure he does all the light world checks, then goes into the dark world. So we got Gweg and Dr. Bob just finishing up Desert. And Scruff is out of checks on the mountain, so he's gonna go, looks like, to Ice Palace here.
This is awesome.
Oh, no. Wait, he's gonna go to Zora.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, maybe.
I think he
forgot. Oh no, 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 no.
Oh, he was almost there.
Oh man, I was about to say that's a huge, huge play, but oh boy, I still love this. I mean, going back to what I originally thought they were doing, I love this early Ice Palace check. This is awesome. Coming here before Pod is like kind of a really risky play. But I guess, you know, they can technically, you know, without hookshot, some checks aren't in logic, right? But if they can do the bomb jumps, or if they just say, you know what, I'm going to take a gamble and just clear this out.
Yeah,
and,
It's a red crystal, so clearing it early could be important. So I definitely like doing this now because, again, he doesn't have the hook shot, so going into swamp would be it's a risky play. All right, so Dark Shadows is now on Super Bunny Cave. So we're now going to get to see if there's anything of note in Hookshot Cave. Meanwhile, it looks like Gweg is going to go to the back of Skull Woods.
Last chest here. Okay. So not having that hook shot for the other runners who came up here will not bite them in the butt here. So
yeah, that's good news for them. Let's see. Dark Shadows, where does he go? He could go to Pod. He could go to Ice Palace.
they have not done this.
Yes. So it looks like he's gonna get Desert Palace out of the way. I would venture to say that Dark Shadows is thinking about what he wants to do. Like, this is a play that you do when you're not sure on what's the best course of action. You want time to think about it. Because it's something you have to do anyway. You gotta get the crystal out of Desert. There's an item here, so you can do this one check. But, you know, maybe he's not sure if he wants to commit to Pod or to Ice Palace. Trying to weigh his options there.
Yeah. Yeah, just without that mirror, I mean, unless they're forced to dip into mire, I just wonder when they're going to come back for Checkerboard Cave. But I mean, they might, lamp really might not be necessary for them. So, because they did the mire checks already. So, if they would prefer to have lamp, then for their sake, we hope that they're kind of pushed towards mire for something. But dipping mire is never fun.
And it looks like Dr. Bob is going to be picking up the... he's doing the purple chest here, but I imagine he'll pick up Bombo's tablet.
Back-to-back canes. Didn't even make that connection. They're right next to each other.
Scruff setting up for a bomb jump here.
So yeah, that's that hook shot check in logic. So we know it's in logic, but they don't necessarily know that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, well, I guess the bow could narrow down some checks, but really anything that they get past this wouldn't really help decipher where hookshot might be.
Yeah, it's really kind of... Ice Palace has kind of come up empty here so far.
And Gweg checking the ped, finding out it's just a sword, so moving along. So yeah, Dark Shadows is going to go ahead and finish up Skull Woods here.
So yeah, I mean, really all we're looking for here is that ice rod and the bow. And, I mean, maybe ether. maybe, depending on where everything else is. But
All right, so it looks like Scruff is ready to take on Cold Stare. Master Sword, Cold Stare. He's got half magic though, but let's see. I think he should have a blue potion for when he rescued the old man, just in case he needs it.
yeah, Master, this is a tough fight. I wonder if they're gonna go. I imagine they're obviously gonna use up their Fire Rod first, but some players like to elect to go to Hammer in this spot. But with half magic, we'll see what happens here.
Yeah, half magic and a blue potion should make this fight super simple.
Misses the first swing though.
Looks like he's going to hold on to that blue potion as much as he can, and I don't blame him. But Dr. Bob here is going and doing some Zora area checks. Might pull out that hook shot.
Really nice Modula fight from Shadows. And a really nice Cold Stare fight from Scruff. Gweg, meanwhile, hot on Scruff's tail into Ice Palace, also without the hook shot. And yeah, Dr. Bob is going to be getting that hook shot. So this is a pretty big play.
Yeah, Dr. Bob is going to be either really excited or really upset that this hook shot is here. So now Scruff's got choices. He can go, looks like he's going to go to Skull Woods and finish that. Again,
yeah, could also be using this time to think, as you were saying before.
Yeah, these plays are the best, times to think, because it's just stuff that you just got to get done one way or another.
So where does Bob go now? I imagine Dark, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting.
Looks like Dark Shadows is going to Ice as well. Oh, Dead Rock interrupted Dr. Bob's travel.
Oh, man.
There goes a boulder. Finally, third time's the charm.
Oh, that's rough. And I think we're getting a Swamp Palace play here from Bob, which I think makes perfect sense.
Yeah, now that he's got that hook shot, I would definitely be checking into Swamp Palace here.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bob is our first one. Bob still doesn't have the Fire Rod, so I take that back. I was going to say Bob is kind of our first one with all of the items that everyone else has, but they don't have that Fire Rod. They're still going to be able to fully clear Swamp Palace here. If Bombos happens to be in here, then they can go to Ice Palace as well, which would be nice. But yeah, we'll see.
So, Scruff pulling out the 3-pack of bombs is now going to go on and take on the Moth.
And we're going to get a lot of new info here with this Swamp Palace play from Dr. Bob, while Dark Shadows and Gweg kind of make their way through here.
Yeah, we're still looking for Bow and Ice Rod, so those two items could very easily... Oh, there's Bombos.
And there it is, right there. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's good because they can clear out Ice Palace, but is that just going to, I don't know. Depends.
It's really not going to push him away from anything, so I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, I guess for their sake, we have to hope that they, don't do the, that they check Hera before they check Turtle Rock for the Fire Rod, if that's where they're thinking, If they're thinking, okay, this is the one. But I mean, the key logic is going to have to really work out to push them in that way. So we'll see what they do. I guess it kind of works out to have Hera close to Turtle Rock for them, but we'll see.
And luckily enough, even if he does get all the way to Laser Bridge, Hera's in the light world, so you could save your portal and just go straight to Hera if you're still looking.
Yeah, that's true. And that's so clutch whenever that works out like that.
Oh, and there's our third sword, so we know where all of our swords are, but that's about as high as we're going to get.
Yeah, that's gonna. I mean, having Tempered Sword in Swamp Palace, that's actually a pretty decent time. I mean, let alone everything else it's gonna help with, but for it to be in Swamp Palace, that's gonna make the boss fight go so much faster.
Yeah. So Scruff is gonna peek the bumper ledge. We know it's nothing. And then from here, really not sure where his next move would go.
Yeah, I can go really anywhere here. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I bet you they're gonna go to pod.
Yeah.
If they find the bow in pod here, it's not required. They can either choose to keep going depending on the amount of. I'm sorry, it's a pendant, so they can either choose to keep going, if the bow's in here, but they can turn right around and clear out Eastern Palace. So we'll see. It's a gamble either way to go into Swamp Palace or to go into. But they don't have hookshot, so they're not going to go into Swamp. So this makes perfect sense.
Oh my god. There's the bow.
Oh, what a place to find it. Bow on green pendant.
Well, we got Dark Shadows taking on Cold Stare now. So I don't know what his. I think he'll probably head to pod as well. After this, because he doesn't have the mirror, so he can't go to Swamp.
And they do have the green pendant, so if they decide to, yeah, they might be just swimming right over there right now. Unless they're going to do the clutch Zora check and double dip the Zora.
But
No.
here goes Gweg. Looks like he might be going up to the Zora area, so
yeah, that's
gonna be a good shot for him.
That's a pretty clutch play. I mean, before dipping. Oh no, they have the mirror. I'm sorry, I forgot that they went to Eastern Palace. I thought they had already done this, so my mistake. I hope chat can forgive me. There are 4 screens. It's a lot to keep track of.
So Scruff's going to finish off Eastern here. Dark Shadow's getting that bow. And Dark Shadows will be getting the mirror here. Since Eastern is a crystal dungeon, definitely going to be checking Eastern.
Yeah, meanwhile, we are going to get Eastern Palace cleared out by Scruff here. And I don't think, yeah, nothing too much going on in Swamp Palace. Except for the sword, which is nice, but...
Scruff trying to set up for the quick kill, but does not get it, so Here we are, just throwing our arrows at the Armos Knights. Ooh, does get a quick kill anyway, kind of. Convenient timing. So there's Dark Shadow's mirror. So realistically, I don't know what else that's holding Dark Shadows back other than just finding, well, yeah, like making his way over to Bombo's tablet will have to be a thought at this point because he's already kind of cleared out a lot of the stuff on the way.
Yeah.
But Scruff is going to dip into pod here. The best thing that we can find, though, is going to be the Ice Rod.
Yeah, if Ice Rod's in here, that kind of makes things nice and tidy for everyone. It's if it's not in here that things could get a little messy. Fire Rod was in the big chest in Hera.
But Gweg and Dr. Bob are going to continue to clear out Ice Palace here. Gweg tried to do a bomb jump because he didn't have the hook shot, but turns out he ran out of bombs, so had to mirror out.
Yeah, that is always just such a that crushes your heart whenever it happens.
All right, so again, Scruff is gonna likely fully clear this place because he's looking for hook shot, which will not be here. And
Oh, okay.
that's not something that is going to be a good find. That will give the option of going into Mire, which we don't want to go there at all.
No,
unless,
we do not.
Unless Ice Rod's there, I guess.
Yeah, no, we did. That's the last thing. That's one of the things we definitely did not want to see. It will provide us with, you know, some potential to see who is going to make that play before some others. So we'll see kind of what happens here. But yeah, I mean, of our runners, the only one that's even gotten pod so far is Scruff. So I imagine we're going to see our runners end up going there. But we'll see. We'll see. So far, other than Ether, nothing really coming up here.
And there's the Ice Rod.
And I just take all that back. We are in no mode. Or I guess that's not technically true, right? Or we are. Yeah, we are. Scruff is not,
We are.
but we are.
The audience is.
The audience is.
I do think Dark Shadows will go to pod. Because he's still looking for the Cane of Samaria. So, and the Ice Rod. So at least walk out a pod with one of those two things.
Yeah, so I mean, let's kind of put each runner. Let's figure out what each one needs, right? Scruff needs to go to Zora. Shadows needs to go to pod. Bob needs to go to Hera, at least for the bow and for the fire rod. And I think Gweg is just kind of going in order, right? I mean, they're probably going to make their way through all of these things, but everyone else kind of, you know, needs something big, right?
Yeah, I think Gweg's next move is definitely probably going to be pod and Eastern area. So provided he remembers that to turn into the green pendant, I think Gweg could be in a very good spot here. But again, Bombo's Tablet is one of those weird checks that, you know, it could really be one that you forget or one that you don't. Like, it's just, like, depends on what's going on in the seed.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, okay, never mind. Yeah, I mean, everyone's kind of has their pseudo last location, kind of. It's not technically last location, but everyone's kind of has their spot that they need to go. So it's just going to matter on like who kind of gets through that list first. But according to chat, it looks like Gweg did read Bombo's tablet. That I'm not sure about. And Gweg's trying to get some magic here. Do they have enough? You need a full magic bar to do Fire Rod here, right?
He does not have enough. Unless he purchased a potion when I wasn't looking, because he used his blue potion going through Spike Cave. Oh, that's unfortunate.
Oh, no. Yeah. That is such a bummer because Gweg already had to double dip pod because of Ice Palace because of the bombs. We did get a Graveyard Ledge check from Shadows. It was just a shield. It was their first shield.
So Shadows actually has a good chance to check Bombo's tablet here because you could do it after or before going into Swamp.
Yeah, that is true, actually. That's a good point. Having to do Swamp is actually going to save some of these runners. Could potentially save Gweg as well from not missing that check.
So Gweg has stocked up on some potions and is going to go back into Ice Palace to finish off Cold Stare here.
Meanwhile, Bob is on Death Mountain. I wonder if they're heading back up to Hera. We'll see where they go, if they go up or right. And it looks like they are. So it looks like Bob is going to make their way back to Hera and get that Fire Rod.
So this is interesting. Scruff is going to Pyramid Ledge. I can't recall if he checked Catfish yet. I don't think he did.
Oh. I don't think he did either. Oh, no, didn't he mess up the... No, he didn't check Catfish, but he did make a dive to the Waterfall Cave, because remember, he missed his... So this is good, though. It looks like they're going to make their way back up there.
Yeah, so Catfish, and then he could check Zora right after, and he'd be in no mode at that point. And Bob is doing the play he needs to as well, going into Hera, so he's going to get the stuff he needs, well, provided he does check the green pendant afterwards.
Yes, that is true. We have to hope that Bob continues. I imagine after getting the big chest that they will just beat the boss, because they're still looking for... But we'll see.
There's... In terms of a pendant Hera, I mean, there's really no reason to not beat the boss a lot of times, unless you get the items like in the first 2 checks, because it doesn't really take that long to kill Moldorm, especially if you're pretty well equipped.
Yeah, most people do, and I think if we were looking at like an hour 30, hour 35 into the seed, maybe they make that kind of skip, but that was kind of like, I'm trying to think about where these runners must feel like they are in relation to the rest of the field, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Scruff is officially in no mode.
So yeah, Scruff's gonna run and get that Cane of Samaria, and he's gonna start clearing dungeons. One thing is, I wonder if he will check that chest in swamp that has the extra sword. I usually do, but you know, when you go mode swamp, like if you go do true go mode swamp, you don't check anything and you just keep going.
Yeah, and most people when they do, if they do check anything, it's usually just in the back of,
Yeah.
like on the way, like the waterfall and so, or the waterfall room. So we'll see. We'll see if they keep going and checking. There are a lot of chests on the way. You know, they still have to get all of those chests that are in Total Rock on the way. So, you know, they could be thinking, okay, it's likely I'm gonna find another sword, but we'll see. We'll see if they continue to do that.
Ooh, Dr. Bob is going into Turtle Rock, maybe? Or could be just checking Hookshot Cave. Meanwhile, Gweg is finishing off Cold Stare here. Down goes Argus for Dark Shadows.
And down goes Cold Stare for Gweg. So Gweg has got to be feeling a little bit of pain right now, but he's really not that far behind. After having to do that triple dip in a nice palace. You know, I think it must feel pretty rough, but we know that they're still in kind of a good spot, and we are getting, you know, a Turtle Rock dip from Bob here. Because they're still looking for that ice rod, and they're still looking for that bow as well. There could still be another bow here, technically, so we'll see if that potentially brings them back to pod, you know, if that ends up happening, but...
Yeah, it looks like Gweg is going to be going to Swamp Palace here. Yeah, it looks like Scruff skipped the chest and is going to check these in the back here. So, Master Sword is going to be it for Scruff.
Yeah, and we still don't have those silvers just yet. So, you know, Master Sword Silverless is eats up quite the amount of time compared to the others, so we'll see.
Yeah, but at least Scruff has half magic, so that makes the final phase not as harrowing.
Get our fourth bottle in TR there.
All right, what's on left side swamp? Of course it's a big key. So we got Bob continuing on through Turtle Rock here, Gweg and Swamp. Dark Shadows, gonna check that big chest, and now I noticed that he doesn't have the ice rod, so he didn't go into pod and get that, so that's gonna be on his list to look for still, but he is gonna get the Cane of Samaria here, because it looks like he's going straight for Bombo's tablet. So Scruff is going to go for that Cane of Samaria as well, finally picking that up. And we're going to see our first runner in go mode being Scruff.
Yeah, absolutely. At about, looks like it's going to be about 123, which is pretty late. I mean, 122.52 to be exact. Not late, obviously, to us, but as far as what you're feeling like in the middle of a seed, obviously, we know that that's great, but
All right, so Scruff is going to run on up to Turtle Rock. Meanwhile, Dr. Bob checking out Mimic Cave. It's got nothing. Really, there's not much to even get anymore. We've pretty much got all the items or know where they are. I guess the biggest thing that we can get now is silvers. Like, that's really all that's left out there.
we are going to get a Pyramid Fairy check here from Dark Shadows. This will be the first time we've seen this. And I imagine that they're going to probably make their way to pod afterwards, so but we'll obviously wait and see.
All right, Scruff now in Turtle Rock. This is the last dungeon he needs to do, and he's on his way to GT. And Gweg finishing up Argus here. So we'll see if Gweg goes and gets that Cane of Samaria as well.
So I believe I only saw the second item of Pyramid Fairy. It came up nothing, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to see what's on Laser Bridge here.
And Gweg's going back in for the last item as well. Bob's not even going to attempt to save the portal. I'm not sure if he has any Light World checks left, but he's just going to save and quit out.
Yeah, we obviously know that it would not work out in their favor since they do have to go to pod. And it looks like that's where Bob is going. So they're probably going to get their check in their green pendant on the way. And we'll be in good shape to continue on.
And Dark Shadows is also biting the bait of Turtle Rock, and is going to go in without Ice Rod.
Yeah, I mean it's actually kind of, in theory, the best play to make. We obviously know it's not the right one, but in a big field, you know, the amount of times that we've seen Ice Rod on Laser Bridge, it's absolutely cannot fault them for making that play.
Yeah, Bob is going to feel very good about getting that bow. But now that all that remains is the Ice Rod, so he's going to try to open it, or finish Eastern at least. Didn't pick up Kiki. That's common. A lot of people do that when you portal back in your invulnerability frames. They extend till you exit the maze if you just leave straight out of the maze. So if you're still invincible while you pass by where you pick up Kiki, you won't pick up Kiki. And a lot of times that gets people that mirror in to check Sahasrara there.
So before we get to the end of TR here, I think this is probably a good time to give a shout out to our trackers. You know, they are the ones working behind the scene. They're making it easy for us to watch, correcting us, keeping the trackers alive. So we got Dark Diplomat and Revolving Oscillate on tracking. So thank you so much to both of them. Give your shout outs to them. Give them a follow. Show them your support. Show them your love. Because we would certainly not be anywhere where we are without them. And with that being said, we are going to be having a game play for fun on the weeklies. It's going to come up right at the end of this fight with Trinex here. Do you want to explain it real quick? I know most of us know it, but Jetters, you want to give a quick summary of it?
Yeah, so there are 21 checks in the basement of GT, and the big key is one of those is in one of those checks. So we're gonna have a little guessing game as to where that big key might be. So you can have anywhere between 1 through 21 as your guess.
And it's going to start right after the Scruff picks up their last crystal here. Meanwhile, this Master Sword fight with Trinex is certainly not an easy task, and Scruff is making it look super easy.
And down goes Trinex for Scruff.
So what are you thinking, Jetters? Oh. Meanwhile, sorry to cut you off, but we just got silver. Silver is on Trinex. That's a pretty big find.
Yeah, that is a very nice place to put them. And Bob skipped out on pod, so not going to be picking up that ice rod.
So yeah, 1 through 22 chat, where it's going to be, the counting will go based on how Scruff picks up the chests. But yeah, so what do you think we're going to get today, Jetters?
I always go with 7.
This has been a pretty quick seed, so I'm going to go with 4. The first chest after Torch. If they go that way, of course. So, going straight to the Torch. So 1, just a small key.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see if this is a full left or a Dark Magician.
And meanwhile, Bob, looks like they elected to do the Pyramid Fairy first before. I'm hoping that they're making their way to pod now. 3 is the compass. 4, a small key. And 5, a big 20. And just as you had thought, Jetters, there is the mirror for the Dark Magician strat. So here comes 6 and 7. 6 is a red rupee. Ho ho!
And number 7.
The price is right for Jetters tonight. And let's see who else. Let me scroll through here, see if there's first person that got 7 here. Looks like we've got RW Noon with 7. Good job, RW Noon. Akasha also with the 7. And Solaris with 7 as well.
All right, so even though Scruff's only got Master Sword, having silvers, half magic, not too bad. The gauntlet goes pretty quick when you got half magic and silvers. Dark Shadows is going to pod now, so this is where he's going to be picking up that Ice Rod. Dr. Bob going into Skullwoods to finish that off. And
Yeah,
Gweg,
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Gweg's also doing the Ice Rodless TR dip.
Yeah, feel sorry, man.
So Turtle Rock is baiting everyone today.
Well, I did think that Bob was going to make their way to pod after Pyramid Fairy. I certainly don't blame them for kind of taking care of Skullwoods first. With the flute, you know, you can get to pod obviously very quickly from where you are. So now the question is are they going to go to pod or are they going to go to Turtle Rock?
Well, Dr. Bob has already cleared out
right.
Turtle Rock.
Right, that's right, duh. So
I think really pod is the only place he has left for to go after this.
yeah, because they don't have ether to go into Mire. So chat's asking why Scruff has master. So Scruff was able to go mode Swamp Palace, which is where the third sword was. And while Scruff did check the back chests, of Swamp Palace, the third sword was in the chest one room south of the big chest. And yeah, Silver's was on Trinex.
Yeah, and our fourth sword is on the ped, so that is a sword that's not gonna show up.
Yeah, and you can see Scruff is checking chests in GT, hoping to find that sword.
And Dr. Bob is headed into pod as well. So that'll be the Ice Rod for him.
Trolldorm living up to its name, knocking Scruff off one time. But takes him down.
Yeah, this race is, just goes to show that how quickly a seed can turn around for you. I'd say that Dark Shadows really had a strong advantage throughout the entire seed early on, but not having that mirror really slowed him down. And then all it took was Scruff to make the right plays and ended up being the first into go mode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is go mode for Dark Shadows. He is not happy to find that Ice Rod there.
Dark Shadows is definitely showing their anguish in more ways than one. And Geometry class just ends now for Scruff. Taking down Aga 2. Going to be entering the pig fight. But
Yep.
with that Master Sword, so things will be a little bit different than the other runners for Scruff.
And I'm not sure what Scruff has for potions, because he didn't pick anything up as far as I know, so he may have a red or a blue. Not sure. This is a nice spot for Ganon. All right, and ooh, this is one of the best spots here.
Yeah, did he make it to phase 2? He did. Excellent.
Oh
This is a
yeah, there we
good
go.
spot.
This makes it really easy.
Yeah, that's the spot right there.
Doesn't make it out of phase 2, but he's pretty close. Ooh, uses his blue. So if he somehow runs out of magic in the final phase, I don't think he's gonna have anything left to get that magic back up.
Does make it to phase 3.
Because even with half magic, it's definitely not a gimme on Master Sword.
No, absolutely not. And now with
Oh,
they
he
have
does
another
have a second blue. Okay.
and a fairy as well.
Ooh, and Gweg taking a death on Laser Bridge, but does have a fairy. That is good news. And there goes Dr. Bob's Ice Rod. So Dr. Bob is now in go mode.
Okay. 2 more silver arrows for Scruff here. Can he get now? He's gonna have to wait. Ooh. This is a tight fight. And
down goes Ganon.
get your GGs in chat for Scruff, everyone. That Zora play, that late Zora play coming in clutch. As well as that early Eastern play too. And with a time, an SRL time of 1 hour, 40 minutes, and 9 seconds. Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna gets their Triforce.
Scruff finishing 15th overall. Behind, let's go off the list real quick here. Bonta in first, Frostbite in second, Scion T in third. There's your pedestal there. And then we have Spleeby, Gamachu, Plasma Kappa, Shireen, Goomba, 1UP, Matt, the OK Guy, and Boosh and GamerCal.
And Ganon's gone wild as well.
Oh, there we go.
We are actually joined by Mr. Scruff Ninja Tuna. Tuna. Big Tuna, what's going on? How are you feeling?
Hey, I kind of feel silly now, because I had one of my buddies tell me, of course after the race was finished, that I missed a sword just south of the big chest and swamp, and I really like Tempered.
Yeah, Tempered is nice.
I figured absolutely nobody's going for Butter this seed, unless they really, 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 really want it.
Yeah, but tell me, like, were you relieved or were you worried when you found Hookshot?
I was relieved, because at that point I was thinking, alright, it's probably going to be on Laser Bridge, it's going to be a required double dip. I really don't want to do this because I still got to get my cane off of the Bombos tablet. And then as soon as I saw that popping out of that wonderful fish, I was like, yay.
Yeah, I mean, you really were able to still be extremely efficient even without the hook shot. You know, having the mirror so early on really helped you, as well as that early play getting the boots too. So yeah, despite not getting the hook shot for a long time, you still were able to be really efficient and get through the majority of the seed, and it was really, really fun to watch.
Appreciate that. I think that honestly is what saved me with most of my routing. If I had the hook shot earlier, I probably would have fold cleared swamp. My go mode would have most likely been the ice rod at that point, and I more than likely would have gone into. Well, I take that back. I would have gone to pod first, but I probably wouldn't have finished it. Probably would just dip right out after that. But yeah, it was an interesting seed nonetheless.
And not checking catfish as well. right? Because you looped. That's how you kind of eventually got back there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, yeah.
That was kind of a pretty big choice to not do catfish when you were kind of looking for things earlier on.
That was actually, if you notice, before I entered Ice Palace, you saw that I went through that one warp and then went right back. I was thinking, no, I don't want to orphan catfish.
I
Because
know.
one of my mods would just tease me incessantly if she found out there was something good on catfish, and I just completely forgot it.
Yeah, we saw you go in and we were like, oh my god, this is so clutch. Like he's just going for the one check. And then you went back and went to Ice Palace, which obviously made more sense, but yeah. I was like, whoa, this is epic. He's just going right back to it, but yeah, I mean the bomb jump in without having it in Ice Palace, the bomb jump, for the hookshot check was really clutch as well. So yeah, it was really fun to watch.
I appreciate that. I've also been practicing a bit with the Ice Palace logic. Yesterday's seed was a standard, and I would have actually got a sub 70. I swear to God, I would have gotten a sub 70 because I got to Ganon's Tower in 55 minutes. And all I was missing was a hook shot. And I didn't realize that with Ice Palace key logic, if there is a small key, at least one small key in either the Pingator room, the Freezor room, or the Iced Tea room, then it's not hookshot locked. I didn't realize that.
Oh man, we're getting into super meta logic.
Right?
Inception, the dream within the dream.
It's
logic.
just too much.
It's a lot.
But yeah,
I'll tell you, you were the only one, by the way, that didn't take the Turtle Rock bait. Everybody else dipped Turtle Rock without the ice rod.
Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yet also we're one that delayed pod a fairly good amount. I mean, I feel like a lot of people will make an early pod play, once they can, and you still really delayed it a pretty good amount before you even went in there.
I was debating, honestly. I didn't want to delay it as much as I did because it's pendant pod. You almost always have something in there. But I just had too much other stuff to do that was on the way, and I felt it would just be too much of an annoyance to try and fit that in beforehand.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that with Mirror in Eastern, it's like you don't get to do the whole swap. You've already dipped Eastern, so you don't want to go back, So, yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, especially if pod ends up bow locked, you didn't have the bow, and that has all sorts of kind of implications as to what you can do in pod. Do you have potions? So
yeah. Speaking of, I mean, with Master Sword, how sweet was it to find silvers on Trinex?
Oh god, I was so happy. So happy. As soon as I saw that drop, I just went back and was like, yay!
Yeah, because with you, amongst our four streamers, or our four runners, you were the only one without tempered, but you also were the only one that could go mode swamp. So, evens out a little bit.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd find something in the flooded room. I don't know if this is like a legit thing or not, but I know someone decided to run 100 seeds and found like in 74 of them, Skull Woods had something decent or unique. And I always feel that Swamp Flooded Room is kind of the same. When you're in go mode, it's got something good. When you're not, it's worthless.
yeah, we found pretty much everything in the game this time, though, on the menu, except for one shield, I think, and the shovel.
No, we did find all of them because I picked up the fire shield in GT, and I skipped one of the shields early on. I think it was.
Yeah, there was one on on Graveyard Ledge.
Yep. So Graveyard Ledge had our wonderful mirror shield just kind of sitting there, wanting and waiting.
But I don't think we found the shovel, did we?
No.
Okay.
I wouldn't doubt that somewhere in GT.
Or in Meyer. Thankfully, no one went into Mire.
Oh,
Oh,
man,
yeah.
We were wondering about that one.
I saw that ether and my freaking jaw dropped at that point. I was saying, no, this is not going to be an Oops All Dungeons.
Yeah, because at that point you were still missing hook shot, so you know that's definitely one of those things where if you didn't, you know, you could have easily had gone into Mire.
I was really thinking about it. I honestly was.
And it would have been like a really, I mean, we obviously know it wouldn't have worked out, but I mean, it's like a really good aggressive play because if you do find it in there, you know you're like so you know where you're at in comparison to like a large field. So obviously we know it wouldn't have worked out, but at the same time, it as an aggressive gamble, it's like kind of a sick play to make.
Very, very true. Honestly, the only solace that I would have had if I had to go into Misery Mire was knowing that I would have for sure gotten tempered. And chat would have been happy because I would have pulled Ped.
Speaking of tempered, meanwhile we got Dark Shadows dropping in on Ganon, and he's going to show Ganon his tempered sword.
Bacon for the bacon. So yeah, Scruff, one thing I always like to ask runners is, and we've probably touched on it, but was there any moment in this kind of run where you did something unpredictable for you, where you said, you know what, I never do this, but I'm going to do it today? Or is it pretty by the book?
It was actually right off the bat. I almost never go through the dark room without at least a sword. I hate the escape route dark rooms without a sword because of the stupid stairs and the snakes. But that boomerang saved me, and I thought, okay, I've got a hammer, I can kill things. I've got this boomerang, I can at least stun things. Let's give it a shot. And
Yeah,
it paid off.
That was a fun thing to watch too. I mean, you really I mean, with the blue boomerang too. We were talking about it. It's like this is not an easy dark room, regardless. But to do it with blue boomerang, it's kind of hard. So, meanwhile, Dark Shadows just gets their last shot into Ganon. So get your GGs in chat for Dark Shadows, everyone. But yeah, Scruff, if you wanted to respond to that, but
Oh, no worries. But yeah, GG's.
Yeah, Dark Shadows finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 31 seconds. And we'll see if he wants to come in for an interview as well.
So Dr. Bob is in geometry, inside geometry, that is. And Gweg will be taking down Trinex, getting their silvers very shortly.
Very nice triple there on that one. And on goes Aga 2 for Dr. Bob, so he'll be on to Ganon as well very shortly.
And we are joined by Dark Shadows. Dark, how you feeling?
Oh, that was such a clown fiesta.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's one way to put it.
Yeah, early on you were looking pretty good. You had the hook shot and everything, and really like had a strong lead. I would say in terms of item count. So like, how did you feel when you picked up the hook shot and like, cause you put off the mountain for quite a bit. Like, you know, were you waiting for the mirrors or something else?
I just had so much I could do, before I really had to consider the mountain. So I just said, you know what, maybe I'll find something to make this mountain even better.
Those Titans mitts were pretty nice.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and not a bad GT big key, and the bonus silvers on Trinex are always welcome.
Oh yes.
Yeah, seeing that kind of made me a bit happier about getting that green pendant before going to Eastern area.
Yeah, that could potentially have been someone's only bow.
Yeah, that's right.
Ooh, that would not have been fun.
Meanwhile, Dr. Bob Tastic just took down Ganon himself. So get your GGs in chat for Dr. Bob. But yeah, it was interesting. It was such a fun race to watch between you guys, because there was a point where basically between the four of you, each person was missing one thing. And it was kind of like, who's going to go make that play? You know, whether it was the hook shot for one, whether it was the fire rod. So it was just really fun to watch you guys play. Dark, was there anything kind of, I guess, uncharacteristic for you that you did this time around? That's something you never really kind of go for, but you said, you know what, today I'm going to go for that. You know, I'm going to make that play.
Gambling on the ice rod and turtle rock.
Oh, you don't make that play
who
too
does
often?
that? Who does that?
By the sounds of it, I'm probably not the only one.
Yeah.
That is Dr. Bob Tastic, in case you guys also joined us. GG's, Dr. Bob.
GG's.
I thought about just walking in, busting out my Ice Rod song, but I said, nah.
Hey, that was almost my go mode.
Yeah, I don't know if you'll be relieved or not to hear, but 3 out of 4 on the restream all dip Turtle Rock without Ice Rod.
Nice. I'm okay with that.
I was
I mean,
so
given
lucky.
all that I checked, I'm perfectly okay with the time that I have. I just should have checked less.
Yeah. I honestly, I wouldn't blame anybody for going to Turtle Rock, because you had early access to it in the logic, because
I mean, assuming you actually went into Hera the first time. I don't know what you're talking about. I also totally didn't try to do the magic bat with no magic.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that.
Don't know what you're talking about.
No, but I mean the TR play, personally, I think it's a great play, because I just think with a large tournament, you're always looking for those kind of aggressive plays that say, all right, if this doesn't work out, yes, I'm kind of in a bad place, but if it does work out, I'm probably way ahead. So, if it's one-on-one, it's a little different, but when you've got 45 entrants, someone's going to have to make some sort of an aggressive play, and it's just going to have to work out in their favor. And it's also, a lot of checks, so I'm all about it. It just didn't work out this time, personally.
Yeah. If I'd have done Hera the first time, then I wouldn't have dipped Turtle Rock. Because I would have gone into pod long before then, because I would have had a bow.
I don't have that excuse.
But yeah, how many people immediately checked the pedestal?
I did.
Yeah, a couple of people did. I know Gweg, he checked it when he was doing Skull Woods, but yeah. That early book does put things at ease when you can check the ped.
Yeah. Though I was not at ease when I saw that. I was like, no. Until I got all 3, and then I was like, okay, we're fine.
I thought it was going to be our first sword.
And it would have been great because, it also helped me knowing that was a sword, because it prompted me to not check anything on the way up GT. Because I'm like, oh, now I have everything. Also, shout out to Trinex for being a bro and giving me silvers.
Yeah, the silvers were really clutch there. Amongst the 4 racers, though, we were just talking before you guys got on that Scruff actually, had Master Sword because they were able to go mode Swamp Palace.
Swamp Palace, yeah.
Yeah. So, but you're right. Having that information about the ped is actually extremely helpful when you do have tempered in GT, because now you just keep going. You don't check. So.
Yeah, and Scruff had the mirror when he came into the Dark World, so he was able to check Bombo's tablet when he came in at on the Hype Cave side, and got that early information that the Cane of Samaria was there.
That's real useful. Yeah, I was trying real hard to avoid going to Eastern without a bow. It just wasn't happening. Oh well.
Yeah, it never feels good to have to go.
Could have done Hera. I don't know why I didn't do Hera. Actually, my brain was like, I don't have a fire source. I might not be able to do it, and then I just didn't do it because I'm an idiot.
Nah, I mean, when you really think about it, though, it's what, 2 items plus the green pendant.
But
So,
it's
like,
2 items to which the mirror
led you to.
and you're missing the hook shot, and it's like, well, I was missing the hook shot because of course I was missing the hook shot.
Well, most people didn't have the hook shot either, so at that point.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
I didn't have 500 rupees. I wasn't gonna fake flipper.
yeah,
Oh, I
most.
farmed that.
Yeah,
Oh,
you were the only one that had hook shot Dark for quite some time. Most of the runners, I think all of the rest of them got it after an hour.
Yeah, I literally last location hook shot outside of Swamp, and I was like, I'm about to go into Swamp without the hook shot if this isn't it. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna go into Swamp with the hook shot.
We got Gweg here on Ganon. Already into phase 2 here.
Oh, you mean I wasn't the last one to finish?
Well, while Gweg's wrapping up here, I've had a chance to ask Scruff and Dark this, but Bob, was there anything uncharacteristic for you in this seed that you kind of took a gamble on? I know we've already talked about basically everything, but I always like to ask this question. Like, was there ever a moment where you said, all right, I never make this play, and I'm going to make this play today. I'm just going to go for it.
Well, kind of the opposite. It was I always go to pod, and I'm not going there this time unless I can help it. And that didn't happen. So.
Yeah, which is what we were talking earlier. It's pretty much what most of our runners did as well. The only exception being the fact that Scruff didn't take the dip into Turtle Rock, but still delayed pod for quite some time. So yeah, it was just really, really fun to watch all you guys. It was a really interesting race to see. Everyone kind of had a little bit of everyone else's stuff, and to see where people made those choices and stuff. So
Yeah, I'm sure it was entertaining at least.
Yep. And Gweg putting the final arrow into Ganon and is going to cross that bridge to secure victory over the Dark Lord.
All right, I think I'm gonna peace out before you bring in the next guy. So thanks a lot.
Same here.
well, GG guys, it was really fun watching you guys. Everyone in chat give all follow. They've obviously it's not easy being broadcasted here. So thanks a lot for your guys' play tonight, and thanks for your commentary afterwards as well.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for the restream, guys.
No problem.
Yep. And Gweg finishing with an official SRL time of 2 hours, 1 minute, and 50 seconds. And again, get those GGs in chat, and we'll see if Gweg wants to join us for an interview. Overall, though, the seed started out nice enough. I don't think it was too bad. It's just everything was all scattered around after your early checks, with getting your Dark World access and everything.
Yeah, I really think it was just. I think if Hookshot's not on Zora, it's a pretty friendly seed. But yeah, I agree. It really wasn't that trolly. It was, no one had to go into Mire, which was nice. But so yeah, I agree. It was very. It's amazing to have a seed that wasn't that trolly, but still be extremely interesting. I mean, it was incredibly like complex. All the different routes that all of our runners took.
Yeah, and I mean the seed did give back a little bit, with the extra bow on Trinex and the Hope Room GT key. So that's also nice to have.
Definitely.
So, looks like at this point, we're just gonna start wrapping things up here. I see Gweg in chat. Gweg, do you have any words that you'd like to say about this seed? You have any favorite plays that you made?
Okay. Well, this was an incredibly fun seed to watch. GG's to all of our runners. Let's give all of these guys a follow. Jetters, I had, such a great time commentating with you. I learned a lot from commentating with you. So thank you for joining me tonight to watch this race. Hope we get to do it again soon. This was really fun.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks to you as well. Helping me out as I kind of break off the rust. Haven't done this in a while, so it's always good to have someone that you can count on to pick up the other half of the comms.
And that's what we're here for.
So, yep, as we close this out, let's take a look here at the schedule. Let's see. On Speed Gaming Main at 10 p.m. to 1 p.m. is the Final Fantasy Randomizer Iron Goal Heavy Metal Championship. So if you're into Final Fantasy, Speed Gaming's got your fix. And as for any sort of other content, I would say stick to the schedule over on speedgaming.org. Looks like there's some things that may get a restream later or may not. So so stay tuned there. Any other final thoughts, Moonswing?
No, I think this was fun, and I'm looking forward to more.
Yep. All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thanks for watching.